Okay, welcome everyone. A good Erev Shabbos. I don't know where everybody is tonight. We're in single digits. What's going on here? Here's our number 10 at least. We learned sponsored by A.B. Spry from Nachas, from children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. By Baruch Ian, Lilonishmas Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba, Esther Bas Gittel, Avram Ben Shmuel HaKayin, by Shalom Fogel, Lilonishmas Reb Yaakov Zeb Ben Reb Yehuda Aryeh, Maris Rivka Bas Reb Yaakov Yosef, Maris Sivya Miriam Bas Reb Gad, Reb Yosef Ben Sion Ben Reb Yaakov Zev, by Yaakov Yemansky, with Akar Satayv to the Rav and the Zoom family, and Nachas from children and grandchildren, Ed Salah from London, and Joshua Rosenberg also. Mo asks us to please learn for his brother, Hirsch Tzvi Alevi Ben Nechama. He should have a refuah shalema b'sei shecher Yisrael. We Baruch Hashem have a very nice olim here in the shul, which is always makes me feel very good, with Rich Lenner and Michal Avram, Berish Gedalia, Ruvain Shannon. We have over here Dr. Guy, Mo
didn't come back tonight.
Mo Kushner, A.B. Spry, Nachman Chapler, Marshall Castle, Saba Aaron Swade, Ben Sion Cohn, Michael, Avram Rezepkowitz. So we are holding 3 lines from the bottom. Talking about Eddie Chazan. Here's Eddie now. Here's Eddie. Eddie, it's good to see you. Eddie is now, well, let's see, he was in Lakewood last night. Eddie, you're in Mexico? Now the island is coming in. Now they're rolling in. Rolling. Yisrael Fisher, Irving Fishbaum, Ilya Shutman. We are holding 3 lines from the bottom of Daf Mem Gimel Amud Beis. If you remember the case we were talking about a case where Ruvain stole something from Shimon, sold it to Levi, and now Yehuda comes along and says that it belongs to him. And the Gemara says that Shimon can't come and testify about it because he's Nogeh B'davar. So the Gemara says it's talking about Kigain the Islay Sadeh Lamar, the Islay Sadeh Lamar, that Shimon has witnesses that the land belongs to him. Yehuda has witnesses that the land belongs to him. Now the din is where each one has a set of witnesses that the land belongs to him. We resolve the case for Amar Rabbanan Ara Heicha Dekaima Taken. The land where it resides now, by whom it resides now, it stays there. Right? We go bust the Chazak and the Hashta. So therefore Shimon has a vested interest that Yehuda should not get his hands on it, because if he gets his hands on it, then he won't be able to get it back from him because they both have sets of witnesses. Says the Gemara, so then why do we have to have a case? Why do we have to get Levi involved? That Reuven stole it from Shimon and sold it to Levi. Just say V'lukma B'gazlan, where Reuven stole it from Shimon. And Shimon can't testify that it's by Reuven because he doesn't want it to get into the hands of Yehuda. Why do we have to have that Reuven stole it from Shimon and sold it to Levi? So the Gemara says, I'll tell you why. Because it wants to say in the Sefer, Machaloi para, Machaloi talis, that in the event that Reuven stole a cow from Shimon, or a talis from Shimon, and he sold it to Levi, that in that case, Shimon is able to give testimony on it. Why? Because he doesn't have a vested interest, because he was already miyayish, and once it goes to Levi, it's also Shina Rishus. The Dafka Machar, Davale Yish, V'Shina Rishus. He was miyayish, and it changed hands from Ruvain to Levi. Avaloi Machar, but if he just stole it, and therefore Shimon could get it back, the Hadrale, then he can't testify even if it's immovable, because it has a vested interest. So since for the Sefer it had to say the case of Machar, Tanareisha Nami Machar. So the Gemara says, but wait a second. Even if we say that Shimon is miyayish on getting back the cow or the cloak, he's not miyayish about getting his money. The Sefer Nami Nehei de miyayish migufei. Midmei mi miyayish? Is he miyayish from the money? Says the Gemara, no, it's talking about where Ruvain died. The Gazlan died. And you can't recover the money from the heirs. Like Tzricha Demayis Gazlan. It's talking about where the thief died. Did not Hagoizel Umachalis Banav, if somebody steals and feeds it to his children, or Vaniach Lifneim, or leaves it by them, Turim Milashalim. They're exempt from paying. So the Gemara says, okay, but why did we have to say it's talking about a case where Ruvain stole it from Shimon and sold it to Levi? If Ruvain has to die, so v'lukim abiyirish. Just say that it was inherited. Now, the Gemara assumes that would be the same thing. So hadicha lamanda amarishus yirish lav kirishus lekeach, that the rishus of a yirish is not considered shina rishus like that of a buyer or shopper. Elamanda amarishus yirish kirishus lekeach dami. Once you have to learn that Ruvain died, why do you have to have that it was sold to Levi? Ma'ik l'meimah. And furthermore, kashalei labaya, the lashon over here, mipnei she'achriyusay alav ve'ein achriyusay alav, it makes the distinction that on karka he's responsible, and on movables he's not responsible. It should say the difference is mipnei she'chayzeres lay, because the karka gets returned to him, and the metaltalin is ein chayzeres lay. So it doesn't use the accurate terminology. So therefore the Gemara says there's an entirely different pshat over here. What's the pshat? Ela k'derabin b'Shmuel. Dama Ravin b'Shmuel mishmei de Shmuel. Ravin, the son of Shmuel, said in the name of Shmuel, Hamoicher sada l'chaveiroi shaloi ba'achrayis. In the event that Yisrael that Yisrael sells a field to Shelley without security, right? So that means that, Shelley got a fire sale, and it could be that it's not a safe deal at all. But again, Yisrael sold the field to Shelley without giving him any security. That means that if the field is taken away from Shelley, Yisrael is not chayiv to reimburse him. So we would think then Yisrael could give testimony about the field, because it makes no difference. If it was taken away from Shelley, he wouldn't be chayiv to reimburse him anyway. So says the Gemara, still, if Yisrael sells a field to Shelley without giving him security, ein meyed lo yaleha, he still can't testify about it. Why? Because Yisrael has a vested interest that that field should be known as a field that was coming from him. Why? Because if Yisrael owes Abi money, Abi can collect from that field. That's only if the field is connected to Yisrael. If it's not connected to Yisrael. So Yisrael has a vested interest that the field should be known as his field. So ein mein lo yaleh mipnei shemamida b'fnei bal chayvei. But this is only if it was real estate. The dafka bayis soysad. This is only true with a house or a field. Aval paravitalis, but if he sold to Shelley a cow or a cloak, then it's not so. Because Abi cannot collect movables from a buyer. Now, this is for sure true if it was just a regular movable, it's not mishubed to Abi, my timer, it's movables. And movables are not mishubed to Baal Chayv. And even though when Yisrael took the loan from Abi, he wrote, "Va'afal gav de kosev le miglima da'al kaspe." Even though he wrote in it, in the promissory note, that you could collect even from the cloak on my back, that's only while it's by Yisrael. That's only while it's by Yisrael. If it's not by Yisrael, he sold it to Shelley, lie. But I might think, what if Yisrael made the cloak or the cow an apoitiki? Apoitiki means that he gave an exclusive lien to Abi on this cow. Yisrael had a favorite cow, Elsie, and he said, "My Elsie is meshubah to Abi." It's an apoitiki. El afilu also apoitiki namiloi. Why? My time kedirava dama rava osa avdoi apoitiki. If Yisrael made an evident apoitiki to Abi, and then he sold it umochroi, then Baal Chayv gavim mimenu. Then Abi could collect from Shelley, because that has a curl. So Shelley will have discovered this exclusive lien. Shayrei v'chamayre apoitiki, but if he makes an axe or a donkey apoitiki or machrei, ein Baal Chayv gavim mimenu. Shelley cannot collect from it. My timer, high is like color. A Eved has a curl. The high less like color. So it says the Gemara, but still, Gemara has another cash up its sleeve. Maybe when Yisrael sold the cow to Shelley, he did it together with karka. Says the Gemara, actually, that's not I'm rushing. Maybe when he made the lien to Abi, he made the lien on the cow together with real estate. And although a lien on metaltalin alone doesn't have a curl, but when you do it together with real estate, it does have a curl. So says the Gemara, Dilma aknele metaltale agav mekarkai. Maybe when he was mishabed the cow to Abi, he did it together with some land. The Amar Rabbi I aknele metaltale agav mekarkai. If Yisrael was made a lien on the cow together with real estate, since kani mekarkai, since there's a lien on the karka, kani metaltalei. V'amar Rav Chisda, and Rav Chisda says, okay, there's some fine print, V'amar Rav Chisda, when Yisrael wrote the promissory note, he wrote, there's no conditions, or and this is from a Lashon in the Ksuva. We say there's no conditions, and it's not just a form of shtaris, it's not just a boilerplate. But the bottom line is, why don't we worry about over here, in the case of the cow, that Yisrael sold to Shelley, that he shouldn't be able to testify, because maybe he created a lien on this cow with Abi together with Karka. Says the Gemara, you know what? You know what it's talking about? It's talking about where Yisrael bought and sold right away. He flipped it. He bought it and he sold it. So there was no time to create a lien with Karka. Says the Gemara, V'leichish dilma de iknehu. Maybe it's talking about where Yisrael made a lien before he bought the cow. And he told Abi, together with the real estate, that there should be a lien also on what I bought. So says the Gemara, does that mean, Shmat Mino, could we prove from here, the ikne, that which I will buy, and then kana u'macher, and he bought it and he sold it, or kana v'hayrish, loy mishtabed, that you cannot make such a lien ahead of time? Now the Gemara doesn't want to say that because this is a shaila that the Gemara has elsewhere, which the Gemara does not resolve. So the Gemara says, no, it's talking about over here that we know that Yisrael doesn't have any land. And since we know that Yisrael doesn't have any land, so there can't be that he was mishabed to Abi together with land. Like Tzvicha dekamre edim yadinun beibahai, we know about Yisrael, the loy have a leyara me'elam, he doesn't have any land. But now the Gemara has another kasha up its sleeves. I want to thank Hashem publicly that I was able to say the shir today. I always believe it's b'schus the olam that I'm able to do it. There's another problem over here. Yisrael sells the field to Shelley without achrayis, without security. So he said that Yisrael is allowed to testify about the field because he doesn't have any he doesn't have any
vested interest.
well, okay, let's not chap. We said that he's not allowed to testify because he does have a vested interest, because he could give it to Abi. But if it's a cow or a cloak, since Abi, who he owes money to, cannot take it away because the metaltale is not meshubit to a Baal Chayiv, so then he could testify about it. The problem is, although Shelley V'amar Papa Afal gav da Amar Rabbanan hamayches sadol lechaveres shelo b'achrayis, that if Yisrael sells to Shelley a field without security, or Bobal Chayv Torfa, and Abi comes and snatches it away, Einoi Chayzer Alav, Shelley can't ask for any compensation because he sold it to him without security. Shelley's a speculator. However, Nimtzis She'enoi Shaloi, if it's found to be that the field was never Yisrael's, in other words, it was stolen property, then Chayzer Alav, then Shelley could come after Yisrael. That's why Yisrael is in faraway Dan Israel. Then Shelley could come after Yisrael, because it turns out that it was never Yisrael's. It was never a sale, so Yisrael took money away from him for anything. If a previous lien holder takes it away, okay, that was Shelley took a gamble. He was speculating. But if it turns out that it was never Yisrael's, so then Shelley could ask for his money back. Now that should be true even by the cow and the cloak. Says the Gemara, it's talking about a case where Shelley knows that it's Yisrael's animal, because he sees the familiar features, or he saw Yisrael's donkey give birth to him. So that's not going to be a worry. However, the Gemara tells us, Rav Zvid says, when Shelley buys as a speculator, why do you think Shelley got a field that's worth $10,000 for $3,000? Because Shelley's willing to take risks. Even if it turns out that it was never Yisrael's, that was a risk that he took. Yeah, I thought so. We paskin like this. This is the rules of speculation. Even if we find out that it never belonged to Yisrael, as I told you, why do you think a guy goes all the way to Tannisville? Right? So even if we find out that it was never Yisrael's, the din is that, look at him, he's hiding his head. Shelley can't get back his money. That's why I sold it to you without any guarantee. You got a fire sale. You know, you might have gotten away with it. I had this property by me for a very long time, and nobody ever made claims. And there was a chance that you took. You lost the gamble. And therefore, that's why he could give testimony about it, because he's not responsible to make it good. And therefore, he doesn't have any vested interest. All right, Rabbi, so we'll stop over here. I did the Mishnah Yomis already, although we starting a new Masechta. You know what, Rabbi say? I feel guilty. Starting a new Masechta. I got to do it again. I did it already, but let's do it again. It's a new Masechta. It's not fair.
Motzei Shabbos?
Motzei Shabbos, what time? Gedalia.
10:35?
No, I don't think so.
Motzei Shabbos.
What time?
10:20. 10:20.
Motzei Shabbos 10:20. Motzei Shabbos 10:20.
Have a good Shabbos.
Shabbos. Okay, Baruch Shech. Baruch Shech. Marshall, stay for Bava Kama. Where are you going?
Good Shabbos.
Yeah?
Everybody stay for Bava Kama.
Going up Shabbos?
Yeah, stay for Bava Kama. 10:20.
You going up for Shabbos?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Baruch Shechianu. Shh. Baruch Shechianu v'kimanu v'gianu lazman hazeh, to the learning of the second half of Shas. And if you haven't been with us for the first half of Shas, try to stay with us for the second half of Shas. Really, it's an amazing thing. You learn 2 Mishnahs a day, and you finish Shas. This is my second time doing this for Rabbim, and it really is amazing. Arbavas Nezikin, there are 4 principal damagers. Hashar. Now, shar, the Gemara says, is the damage known as regel. which an animal damages in its normal course of walking, like it steps on something. Vabar, a pit, is when an animal falls into your pit. Hamave, the Gemara says, is the mazik of shein, which an animal does damage while it benefits. For example, it eats, or it rubs against the wall to scratch itself and throws down the wall. Vahever is the damage of fire. Now the Mishnah explains that it has to say all four of these in the Torah because they have different features which you wouldn't be able to learn one from the other. So lo yari ashar kare amave. Regel is not like shein because regel is more frequent. It's always walking. While shein, it's only when the animal is hungry. V'lo yari amave kare ashar. Shein is not like regel because by shein it gets benefit from what it damages. When it walks, it gets no benefit. And neither of them that have animate, the spirit of life, karyesh, like fire, that doesn't have the spirit, shema ruachayim. And all three of these, shedarkan leilech ulahazik, that are mobile, right? Regel, shein, and fire is mobile. Karyabar, like a pit. Shein darkan leilech ulahazik, which is not mobile. Hatzara Shabbat, the common denominator of all four of these is Shedarkan Lahasik. It does damage. Ushmirasan Alechan, since it does damage, you are responsible to guard it. Ukishiz Hizik, when it does damage, Chava Mazik, it's the responsibility of the owner of the damaging item, L'shalim Tashlume Nezik, to pay the damaged person, but Meitav Haaretz, from the very best of his land. Mishnah Beis tells us, Kol shechavti b'shmirasai, whatever I am mechuyev to watch, hiksharti es niskai, if I didn't watch it properly, it's considered like I prepared the damage to happen. Now a bar is only chayiv if it's 10 tvachim deep. Hiksharti b'miksas niskai, there was times that I only did part of it. Shelley made a bar 9 tvachim deep, and 9 tvachim deep, you're not chayiv if an animal falls in and dies. But I dug the last tefach. So in that case, hiksharti b'miksas niskai, even though I only made a part of the damage, chafti b'tashlumim, I'm required to pay all of it, ke'echsher kol niskai, as if I did the whole thing, because I'm the one that made it fatal for the animal. Now, when am I chayiv? I'm chayiv if I do damage to nechasim she'ein be'en mila, the property that doesn't have trespass. In other words, it's not hektish. Items of hektish, there's a lav of loisimel, of not committing trespass. But nechasim she'ein be'en mila, property that doesn't have trespass, it's property owned by regular people, because if you damage hektish, you're part because it says shor shel re'eyu v'lo shor shel hektish. It has to be nechasim shel bnei bris. It has to be property owned by Jews. If it's not owned by a Jew, there's different laws. Nechasim hamiyuchadim. It has to be that it's yours from the time it did damage until the verdict is issued. If after it does damage you are mafker it or you are makdish it, you're not going to be chayiv. Or b'chol makom, you're chayiv wherever it does damage. Chush m'rishus hamiyuchedes l'mazik. If, let's say, my item damages your shor when it's wandering on my property, I'm not chayiv then, because what's your shor doing in my property? U'rishus hanizik v'masik, and also, if, let's say, I owe property together with Nachman, and my animal eats Nachman's fruit or steps on Nachman's fruit, I'm going to be potter because the damage of shein and regel, it says ubier b'stei acher. It has to be someone else's field. If it's shared by us, I'm not chayiv. This is true only by shein and regel. Ukishehizik, and when it does damage, again, the Gemara talks about why this is repeated. Chava mazik, I, the one who owns the damager, has to pay l'sham tashlumin ezer. I have to pay for the damage that's done, but meitav ha'oretz, from the best of my field. We want to thank you all for joining us and wish everybody a good Shabbos.